Good morning, grade 11. How are you? Is everything okay? Great. Our lesson today is listening. Open your student book, page 17. Listening, exercise A. Discuss in pairs or in groups. And now, in your homes, think about this question. In your opinion, what would you consider to be a responsible behavior in the workplace? Think carefully. Here's the key of answer. Behavior that I consider irresponsible in the workplace includes the following: avoiding responsibility, not working up to standard, blaming a colleague for something that you did wrong, taking credit for someone else's work, being overly competitive, treating subordinates, employees, colleagues with disrespect, not responding to constructive feedback, conducting personal business on company time, violating company internet policies, being verbally or physically abusive, and arriving late persistently. Question 2. What should employees do or what should they avoid doing to be considered responsible? Employees should do the following: treat each other with respect, pull their weight, contribute to the best of their abilities, arrive on time, take responsibility for their actions, recognize, appreciate the work done by others, respond to feedback, provide positive, constructive feedback, and use company time constructively. And now, think about your own answers. Let's move to another exercise. Exercise B. Listen to a career advisor giving a speech at job fair and answer questions from 1 to 5. Here is a tip for you. Before you listen, read the rubric carefully. I mean the question with the given answers to familiarize yourself with the topic and situation. Try to guess what the speakers are going to say. Read through the questions and options beforehand to get a better idea of what you are going to hear. This will help you focus on the relevant parts of the recording. Listen for keywords, phrases which will help you choose the correct option. Now, read the questions with the given answers before I play the recording. Question 1. What did the career advisor say his talk will be about? Meeting deadlines? Or problematic colleagues? Or how to improve the boss? Or taking responsibility in the workplace? Question 2. What is the first piece of advice the advisor gives? To avoid difficult situations? To accept responsibility for your work? To avoid bothering colleagues with annoying questions? Or to avoid working with colleagues who don't take responsibility for their mistakes? Question 3. What should you do if you are unable to cope with a situation? Try harder, find a good excuse, ask your colleagues for help, or work overtime to find a solution. Question 4. What happens to employees who aren't on time? They miss deadlines. They can lose their job. They aren't respected at work. Or they can't prepare for important projects. Question 5. How can business meetings help an employee to become confident, to show his or her abilities, to discuss his or her ideas, or to prepare for opportunities? Here are the questions from the beginning. Get ready, I'm playing the recording.
Listening. B. Listen to a career advisor giving a speech at a job fair and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning to all. Help yourselves to some coffee or tea and make yourselves comfortable. Everybody okay? Yes, well, the topic of today's talk is responsibility in the workplace. More specifically, we are going to discuss certain things you should avoid doing in the workplace if you want to earn a good reputation and gain the respect of your colleagues and your employer. First and foremost, it's important to avoid making excuses and blaming other colleagues. That kind of behavior shows that you are unable to take responsibility for your mistakes and that you can't cope with certain situations. It's always better to ask questions when you don't know what to do, instead of wasting time and effort trying to figure things out by yourself. Arriving late and missing deadlines are, of course, 2 more points on our what to avoid list. An employee who is always late and never remembers deadlines for important projects can easily lose his colleagues' or boss's respect. Naturally, attending a meeting unprepared is something to be avoided at all costs. Business meetings are an opportunity to show the rest of your colleagues other than your immediate team your true abilities. So it is always better to over-prepare in order to feel more comfortable and confident about your ideas. One more tip, avoid joking around all the time. It's one thing to use humor to create a pleasant working environment, and a totally different thing to be considered the office clown. You need to show others that you are a serious person who can use humor within limits. Last but not least, don't have a negative attitude.
And now, you should have 1 or 2 minutes at most to read the question with the given answers again and revise what you have answered and make sure about what you have missed. Because I have no time, you can play the recording after 2 minutes and answer what you have missed. Now let me check your answers. Number 1. What did the career advisor say his talk will be about? And here is the part of the answer. The topic of today's talk is responsibility in the workplace. So the answer is D. Question 2. What is the first piece of advice the advisor gives? Yes, dear, it's B. To accept responsibility for your work. Great. Question 3. What should you do if you are unable to cope with a situation? Excellent, dear. It's C. Ask your colleagues for help. Question 4. What happens to employees who aren't on time? Yes, it's C. They aren't respected at work. And number 5. How can business meetings help an employee? Excellent, dear. It's B. To show his or her abilities. And now it's time to say goodbye for you, and I'm waiting for next lesson with you again. See you, dears.